assessment, redefine, feedback, reflection, and continuous learning. In times of rapid change, it is the learners who inherit the future. The learned usually find themselves beautifully equipped to live in the world that no longer exists. Eric Ufa. See, in this saying, he has very clearly stated that we have to predict the future and we have to work towards enriching ourselves towards the expectation of the future in the world. So, the next concept is understanding the VUCA BANI world. Past 6 7 days, you might have discussing about VUCA BANI, and you have given 6 7 topics by 6 7 experts. And I would like to enlighten just a few ideas about VUCA BANI. In the 21st century, especially post-pandemic, education no longer exists in predictable, stable environment. Instead, we face a world marked by disruption, rapid technological shift, and emotional unpredictability. Two key frameworks help us understand these conditions, that is VUCA and BANI. These are not just buzzwords, they define the very world in which today's students and educators live and learn. VUCA, origin and meaning. The term VUCA was first introduced by the US Army War College to describe the volatile and dynamic post Cold War era. It's now widely used in business, leadership, and education to understand the complexities of modern world. V stands for volatile. That is, things change rapidly and unpredictably. That is, to explain with example in related to education, sudden shift to online learning since COVID-19. And the implication is educators must be agile and ready to pivot strategies quickly. And U stands for uncertain. That is, we cannot predict anything. The outcomes are unclear and decision making lacks reliable data. And changing job markets make it hard to predict with the skills students will need. And the implications about the uncertainty is focusing shift from role learning to flexibility learning, critical thinking, and problem solving. And C stands for complexity, that is complex, which means many interconnected factors make problems hard to understand. And the curriculum reforms is linked to politics, economy, society, and technology, which implies students need system thinking and interdisciplinary skill. And A stands for ambiguous, which means situation lacks clear meaning and interpretation. With example to this, multiple valid approach to one project or assignment, which implies educators must embrace diverse thinking and encourage creative responses. Bani, while VUCA focused on structural uncertainty, Bani addressed the emotional and human challenges of navigating such a world. It was introduced by Frutis James Casco as an evolution of VUCA model. Here, this Bani, B stands for brittle, which means system appears strong but collapse under pressure. And we should outdate curriculum failing during to shift to online learning, which implies we have to build resilient education system that can adapt and recover. And A stands for anxious. Where their constant exposure to change creates stress, fear, and burnout, and which implies where there is need for emotional intelligence, mental health support, and compassionate pedagogy. And N stands for non-media, that is, small causes can have disproportionate effect, patterns are unpredictable, and it prepares students for unexpected marks and outcomes, encourage adaptability. And I stands for incomprehensible, which means events or systems are too complex to fully understand or explain, which implies that students should promote lifelong learning and curiosity over complete mastery. So I think I need not give more about this VUCA and BANI. All 6 days you were hearing about VUCA and BANI. Now I just get into my topic. Why assessment and what is the need for assessment and why we have to redefine assessment. So, in past, assessment in education was largely equated with grades, marks, and final exams. These traditional methods were designed for a world that valued memorization and standardization. You know that students, we evaluate students based on their memory capacity and their standards. However, in today's VUCA BANI world, where change is constant and uncertain is the norm, these approach fall short. And what is the real problem there? Traditional exams often assess only rote learning, not understanding or application. Students are trained to aim for marks, not meaningful learning. So they really focus on getting scoring marks, but not real life learning. So one size fit all assessment failed to address the diverse skills required for the students to meet the real world expectation. So here we can get into the concept why we have to redefine the assessment. We now need assessment that supports authentic learning, that is real world task, and how students can solve the problems and portfolio presentations. With authentic learning, we is followed by continuous feedback loops. Here we have to get continuous feedback. Here different people or different stakeholders are there to assess or to give feedbacks. That is, we have to go ongoing guidance that helps learners to improve during the process, not just at the end, but from the beginning till end, we have to assess and we have to give the feedback. And lifelong learning mindset, that is, we have to encourage students to learn, unlearn, and relearn across their lives beyond academic boundaries. In a nutshell, redefining assessment means moving from evaluation to empowerment, from judging what a student knows to support how they grow. It's about create learners who are adaptable, self-aware, and future-ready. Yeah, next, let me get into the concept that is components of redefined assessment. In the context of today's rapid changing technology driven world, assessment must evolve beyond exams and grading. Redefined assessment focus on support learning, not just measuring it. Here are the key components that makes this shift meaningful and effective. First, feedback. Ongoing specific and constructive feedback helps learners understand their strengths and areas for improvement. It supports growth and encouragement, a dialogue between teachers and students rather than a one-time judgment. Second, reflection. Students engage in self-analysis by reviewing their own learning experience. Reflective practices like journal, portfolios, or guided questions promote deeper understanding and personal responsibility for learning. Third component of redefined assessment is continuous learning. Learning is seen as an ongoing journey rather than a destination. Regular formative assessment and adaptive tools encourage learners to build knowledge incrementally and stay engaged throughout the learning process. The fourth component of redefined assessment is technology integration. Digital platforms enable real-time feedback, personalized learning path, and data-driven insights. Tools like learning management system, AI, and gamification enhance assessment by making it more interactive and responsive. And the fifth one is authenticity and personalization. Authentic assessment, where students demonstrate their learning through real world tasks such as by taking projects, case studies, by giving presentations, or by simulations. These methods measure practical understanding of the student, creativity of the student, and critical thinking of the student, where they can exhibit their skills, which are essential for VUCA BANI world. Thus, redefined assessment is not about replacing exam, it is about expanding the way we evaluate learning. These components help create a more adaptive, student-centered, and future-focused educational environment. Introduction to assessment redefined. See, assessment redefining involves shifting our focus from mere evaluation and traditionally assessment has been used to measure what students know, often through tests, exams, and grades. While this approach severed its purpose in the industrial age education system. It no longer fits the need of today's learner. In the VUCA BANI world, where change is rapid, unpredictable, and complex, where students need more than just knowledge, they need adaptability, creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence. Assessment redefined is about shifting the focus from evaluating learning to enhance learning. It moves away from one time testing and embraces continuous, reflective, and feedback rich process that supports students' development over time. Rather than asking, what does the student know? We now ask, how is the student growing? This new approach prepares learners to thrive in an uncertain future by building not only academic proficiency but also personal and professional resilience. Next, we are going to look into the assessment tools, assessment redefined tools. There are three important assessment tools. One, formative assessment, summative assessment, and peer and self-assessment. Formative assessment. See, this is a tool for ongoing learning. Formative assessment is a type of assessment for learning, not just for learning. It happens during the learning process, allowing both teachers as well as students to monitor the progress, identify the gaps, and adjust the strategies in real time. Unlike traditional exams, which are often high stakes and summative, formative assessments are low stakes, continuous and focused on improvement rather than grading. Features of formative assessment. The different features are on. It is ongoing one, it is interactive one, it is flexible one, it is diagnostic one, and student centered one. It is ongoing. How we can say it is ongoing? We used to conduct regularly during lessons and projects. That is, we just assess students in between or beginning at the end. Next is interactive. We encourage the feedback and dialogue between students and teachers. And we can say it is flexible. How we can say flexible? That it can take many forms, like conducting quiz by exit tickets, peer reviews, and reflections. And the next one is diagnostic. It helps to identify learning gaps earlier, and to identify the gap and to rectify the gap by bridging the gap. Then it is student center. It encourages self-assessment and ownership of learning. Why it matters in VUCA BANI world? In a rapidly changing world, formative assessment help to build adaptability, resilience, and confidence. Adaptability, that is, we can adapt through ongoing feedback, resilience through interactive improvement, and confidence by showing students their progress over time. And we conduct formative assessment with tools like digital quizzes, quick reflections, learning journals, and self-assessment rubrics, and interactive polls or feedback apps like Mentimeter. Formative assessment empowers students to become active participants in their learning, a crucial skill in uncertain and dynamic future. Would like to go deeper with the tools, examples, or visual templates for this, ready for the next term too. Second, summative assessment. Summative assessment is an evaluation that takes place at the end of learning period, such as the end of the unit, or end of the semester, or end of the course. To measure what students have learned, it is typically graded and used to determine the learner's final achievement. These assessments are often high stakes, influencing promotions, certifications, or grades. While they provide a snapshot of learning, they do not offer much opportunity for improvement after the fact. The key features of summative assessment are final, standardized, evaluative, formal, content focused. We can say it is final because we conduct at the end of the semester, or end of the course, or end of the duration. It is also called as standardized because it often conducted to the learners as uniform for comparability. That is, we can easily compare between students of 60 or 50. And it is evaluative, used for assigning marks, grades, or rankings based on their scores, what they have obtained at the end of the semester. And for it is formal. Example, it includes final exams, term papers, and standardized tests. It is content focused because it measures the knowledge and skill attainment of the student. And it is not real opportunity for VUCA BANI is a real limitation of VUCA BANI world because it does not reflect the process, creativity, or adaptability of student. It offers no feedback loop for improvement, and it may not suit for diverse learning style and needs. So, role in balanced assessment system, while formative assessment support learning, summative assessment certifies it. In a redefined framework, summative assessment is complemented with reflection, feedback, and continuous learning to ensure students are not just prepared for exam, but they are prepared for their life. Third one is peer and self-assessment, which empowers ownership of learning. As part of redefined assessment practice, peer and self-assessment shift the role of students from passive recipient to active participants in the assessment process. These methods not only support academic growth but also nurture critical thinking, self-awareness, and collaborative skills, all essential in VUCA BANI world. Peer assessment. Students evaluate each other working using guided criteria or rubrics. The benefits of it are which builds empathy and constructive communication. It encourages accountability and attention to quality. It exposes learners to multiple perspectives and it evaluates peer review form critic sessions. So self-assessment, where the learners reflect on and assess their own performance and progress, which are the benefits are enhances metacognition, that is thinking about one's own thinking, promotes independence and intrinsic motivation, and it helps to identify strength and areas for improvement. Where self-rating checklist, reflective journal, goal-setting sheets are used. And why it matters. In a future-ready learning environment, assessment is not just done to students, but with them. Peer and self-assessment cultivate lifelong learners who can evaluate their own growth and contribute to the learning of others. So benefits of redefining assessment. Redefining assessment is not just a change in format; it is a shift in the philosophy and purpose. By moving beyond traditional testing, we unlock deeper learning and long-term growth, where which enhance student engagement. How students can be engaged. When assessment include feedback, reflection, and authentic tasks, students become more involved and their participation in learning process will be high. They begin to ask, how can I improve? Instead, what's my score? This boosts motivation, critical thinking, and problem solving abilities. And it improves learning outcome. How it improves learning outcome. Ongoing assessment provide teacher with timely data to adapt instructions. Students receive real-time feedback, allowing them to learn from mistakes and build upon their strengths, ultimately leading to better academic performance and skill development. Third benefit is increased autonomy and ownership. Through reflection and assessment, learners develop self-regulation, goal setting, and independent learning skills, which increases the quality, which are crucial in a world of demand, continuous learning, adaptability, and emotional resilience. Final thought of this redefining assessment, which is used to support learning, not just measure it. We create classroom where students are not just exam takers, but curious, confident, and capable learners prepared for an uncertain future.